Hey, this is Carollanne Crichton at Solavedi Organics, and I'm going to have a really brief review, looking at the captions, Solavedi Organics, review about how to work with the clay cleansers, which also are very versatile and double and triple as being an exfoliant and a mask. So you can see in the background, I chose a kind of a montage of different types of clays because I want to first state the fact that clays come from the earth and they represent all of the different minerals and compositions that are prevalent to certain geographical locations. And they're all different. So you can have a clay, if you look right there, that black one, that can be very, very full of fulvic acid, volcanic ash, charcoal, and its properties would be very, very different from, say, this one over here, which looks to me to be kind of almost like a white kaolin. And behind my head there is one that has a little bit of a rosy hue. That could represent powdered corals from the ocean, or it can also be different iron oxides. So all in all, I just want to say they're all different, and I want to help you in choosing and selecting and working with, and then activating the Solavedi rock of your choice for each different condition. So what I'm going to do is introduce them by name and then give you 5 different recipes or formulas that you can work with. So they all start with the word rock, R-O-K-K, and that was just me making up a kind of generic umbrella term. Rock indicating that it's a clay and that it's a mineral. They're sourced in my creative world back in Ayurveda, which is all of this skincare range comes from my understanding of Ayurvedic rejuvenation. And at a kind of third stage of the panchakarma process, there would be kind of an internal extraction or pulling of toxins deeper from the cells. And it also can be external. The purvakarma can be done with clays, powders, flours, F-L-O-U-R-S, as well as flowers, F-L-O-W-E-R-S. So all of these botanical and mineral natural substances combined wisely can actually take the place of, and as they should, I believe, take the place of some of our more deconstructive medical skincare processes. So let me talk a little bit about what does an exfoliant, what does a micro exfoliant do? So as an exfoliant, basically the idea is to remove dead skin cells from the surface of the skin. And the reason we would want to do that is to open the cells and open the skin up so that it can receive more completely any of the nutritives and the replenishments and the renourishment that we're going to want to apply. And the theory also translates to home care and daily skincare is that you could be using the most expensive and top shelf treatment cream or serum in the world, but it won't do you any good, and you won't see any results if you're not absorbing it and not assimilating it. So it's almost like understanding that your skin has a microbiome, just like the gut, and lots of attention is being brought these days to balancing or repairing the gut microbiome and bringing in viable pre and post and probiotics, so living organisms. And why we would want to do that is to support the breakdown and transformation and then assimilation of nourishment so that we basically can live up to the old adage, we are what we eat. So we are what we eat, we are what we absorb, and we are what we assimilate into our body system and organs. So the thing about exfoliation is that many times actually exfoliation, because it's a good thing, and we're Westerners, And, if something's good, then more is better. So a lot of the exfoliant processes or products that are on the market are actually overkill. They're overdoing it. They're very abrasive, or they're really rough, and they actually can create little micro tears in the skin. And that's why I used that word earlier, deconstructive procedures. A lot of what is taught in aesthetics and med spa trainings would be to break something down so that you can rebuild it up. And Ayurveda is a little, I would say, dial that back. So using a micro exfoliant is preferable to something that's going to be really, really abradant. And then again, what's a micro exfoliant to me may not be anything to you, or vice versa. So different skin conditions and issues and skin types will have a requirement that varies. So as I said, I promised that I would give you 5. I'm going to introduce the rocks, and I'm going to tell you what their primary feature is and what's good about it and who it would be for. And then I'm going to give you some recipes. So rock and green, that would be the green clay, and it's made with French green clay, Montmilleuronite and bentonite. And it also does have many products, or I shouldn't say products, but substances from nature that are really, really anti-accumulation. So they're really good for kapha accumulations or clogging. So it's a very strident clay. And what that means is it's really extractive. It's going to be pulling more. And when a clay is strident and active and pulls more, it does run the risk of being more drying. And so it's not depositing as much as it is pulling away. So that's okay, because some people really need that. And especially your clients who are coming in looking for manual extractions, and you might, say that you can do some, but that if they use this product on a regular basis with oil cleansing, they will not be needing so much. There's not going to be so much accumulating in the pore. So, okay, so the rock and green does have neem, which is an antibacterial, so it's really good for acne, for kapha, for oily skin, enlarged pores, blackheads. Okay, so it's really good also for anybody who's in the springtime. So it's a good spring detox green clay mask or cleanser. Next, there is Rockin' Fruit, Fruut. Rockin' Fruit is made with Icelandic glacial sea clay. So this is a clay that is just composed of deposits. So mineral deposits. And mineral deposits, when they are applied to the skin, is like imbibing or drinking in an infusion. So where rock and green is taking away, rock and fruit is actually treating. And the thing about rock and fruit also, though, because I kept in mind that this would be a really good anti-aging or skin repair clay, is that it's made with 14 fruit cell extracts. And natural fruit cell extracts have, in Ayurveda, they're actually considered to be etheric, which is dispersive. But they also have, according to the science in the laboratory in Western science, glycolic and hydroxy acids. And that those are active. So this is active, but different than the green clay. The rock and fruit is active in stimulating collagen, stimulating cell turnover. Also, because of all of the fruit cell extracts, it has vitamin C in it. And it has Fuller's earth and a little kojic acid, which makes this helpful in hyperpigmentation. So already you can see that your rock and green and your rock and fruit would be useful for 2 different clients. And next is rock and bloom. And rock and bloom is what I would consider if you're treating Vata Pitta. And Vata Pitta translated to English would be sensitive and dry skin. So what makes this a really good clay, you can look at this one over here to the left of me, is made with white clay, pink clay, and rose petals, as well as a few other botanical ingredients, but it also does have powdered goat's milk in it. So it's not a vegan clay, but it is a building clay. So it's building and supporting and nourishing. It's remineralizing the way the rock and fruit, but it's calming. So because of all that white clay, it's an anti-inflammatory. So I would say that this is a wonderful clay for creating a soothing experience, and one that is not too drying, one that does the job of micro exfoliation and not macro exfoliation. So what's abrasive, which isn't really the appropriate term to use in this because it's not abrading at all, are the actual flower petals. So flower petals that are ground to a powder retain some of their humectant properties. And some of these are like mucilaginous jellies. And when you activate it with water or with liquid, that humectant property stays with it or comes back to life. So even though it just feels like you're kind of gently scrubbing or gently awakening and enlivening the skin, it also feels like it's softening and soothing at the same time. So as I said, this would be really good for people who have pitta or combination pitta and vata skin. The time of year for pitta and vata is at the end of the summer and the early fall. This would be also very good in the summer just because it is anti-inflammatory and cooling and calming. Okay, so next, there is a clay called Rock and Light. And Rock and Light is kind of at the other end of the spectrum in terms of activity quotient. It is very, very quieting. So rock and light is almost like your blank canvas, and that you can add things to if you want to build upon it to make a nice cleanser or mask, or you can reserve it for somebody who comes in who's seeking hypoallergenic skincare, zero fragrance, zero tree nuts, zero salicylic acids, zero herbs. Everything in this is very, very low down on the impact. But what I do love about this particular clay, and I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit because I'm going to give you this in the next part, which is how to work with them. But rock and light is so neutral and so kind of waiting for something to identify it and to give it some personality, that if you were to mix this with one of my cream masks and then use that as a facial mask in your treatment, it feels wonderful. And the properties of calming come through. So I use Rock and Light several different ways besides facial skincare. It's really, really good in the summer for itchy skin, poison ivy, bug bites up here in Maine where we have the brown-tailed moth rash. I've been actually mixing that with some of the other anti-inflammatory herbal compounds, and it works great. So you can play around with Rock and Light because it's just more of a it's waiting for you to give it a job description. And then the other one that I have is called Rose Clay. And Rose Clay is actually a very pure Moroccan rose clay with a little rasoul and a little bit of rose petal in it. And that's really all there is in it. It's very, very red, and it will stain any kind of linens. So if you have a dark brown or dark gray towel, you might want to use it for the rose clay. Same thing with the rock and fruit. The pigments that are in those clays stain. So I know that's just kind of a aside, that's a housekeeping tidbit, but it's kind of good to know. I remember the very first day I opened my spa, I had this beautiful white wool rug, and I did the rock and fruit mask, and that white wool rug was white for no longer than 5 minutes. So just to be aware that this is going to be a little shocking in how pigmented it is. It doesn't stain the skin, and it's a very traditional Ayurvedic clay, and one that can be modified. That's the beauty with all of these powders, is that they're waiting to be modified. And now I'm going to take a breath and we're going to turn the corner and I'm going to go right into 5 ways you can work with these clays. Okay. 1, Rockin' Green. As I said, it would be really good for a detox mask. So you want to activate it, and you want to, all of these clays, you do not want to activate in advance thinking this is going to save time. So on Monday, I'm going to make my clays for the whole week. What you do is you make just what you need per treatment. And I kind of think that goes without saying, but I wanted to beat that drum just a little bit, that there are no preservatives. These are viable organisms. And as soon as you add any liquid to it, they're off to the races, and you've got like 12 hours before something would start to take hold. So you want to mix it, use it, throw it away, and repeat. So Rockin' Green works beautifully with some of the calendula witch hazel toner. So you take some of the clay, like a half a teaspoon, and maybe equal parts toner, and you can stir that up and then maybe put just 1 pump full of the Clary Exo Blemish Serum. That would be a wonderful, gives us beautiful glide. So one little tip is, whenever you add oil instead of water to these rocks, to these clays, it will make your removal much easier and more pleasant, because it doesn't ever completely harden or dry totally. So there's that. So there's a good Rockin' Green recipe. I'm going to give you another one for Rockin' Green, just because I've been doing this and loving it. This is taking some of your Rockin' Green powder and mixing it with some of the granular cleansing balm. So the granular cleansing balm is a solid balm. It comes in the sea mineral line, and it does have a little bit of grit and granularity to it. But when you mix the two together, the clay and the balm, it works as an incredible back facial. So you can actually massage this into the back and then follow it with steam compresses to remove it. But you can do the same thing on the face. So granular balm with Rockin' Green. Love that. Okay, so moving on, Rockin' Fruit. So if Rockin' Fruit is the best one for your anti-aging and skin repair, you're going to want to activate it with the most kind of coherent ingredient that's also treatment level. So I know that some, obviously cost is a factor, but these are highly concentrated products. So here's what I would do. Here's what I do. A half a teaspoon of Rockin' Fruit, 5 pumpfuls of the vitamin C hyaluronic serum. And that can be either Remedy, the RX Remedy vitamin C, or the pure hyaluronic. And then a few pumpfuls of the sea mineral nightly emulsion serum. And even though it says nightly on it, it's fine to use in a treatment mask. And this is going to be less about physical exfoliating and more about the biodynamic cell turnover. So you massage this in, as you do all of them, down to the décolleté, the front of the neck, face, temples, jawline, and then leave it. And what I would do is run the steamer during the time that this mask is setting, so that it continues the inward direction. It penetrates deeper into your cells. So that's what you want with this one. If what I've just recommended is exorbitant and not within your budget, then here's what I would do as an alternative. Half a teaspoon of Rockin' Fruit, mix that with a little bit of carrot rose oil or any of the facial oils, and then just apply it that way. And it works beautifully. Rose and carrot are also very nutritive. But what I like about the other method is that you're getting the serum properties. Okay, so let's go into Rockin' Bloom. Rockin' Bloom is something that I like to activate with 1,000 Petals toner or with plain rose water, either one. And then again, either a serum or an oil, just to give it that beautiful unctuous glide. And I would say that the best one for this, because you're talking about Vata Pitta skin, would be either carrot rose oil, saffron amalaki, or maybe either neroli rose. So bringing the rose forward, because it does have rose petals and rose water and rose oil, even rose ghee. So I have a rose ghee cleansing balm, and you can mix the clay with the rose ghee balm. Okay, so there's that for the Rock and Bloom. And let's see the last one. Well, it's not the last one, but it's the Rock and Light. And I had said before, and I will repeat, that I have these cream masks, and one is an Ayurvedic fruit cell, rich in vitamin C and all of the ingredients that basically rock and fruit have, but liquid in a cream mask form. I would mix that in with some Rock and Light, and you'll see again, it moves and glides, it behaves and performs beautifully in treatment. So maybe these would be the ones that you take your Rock and Light and just get modifiers, and that could be part of your palette, your core back bar. So let's see, rose clay. So I like to stay kind of traditional with the rose clay and mix rose clay with the rose ghee. And sometimes just a squirt of rose water just to give it more movability, and let the steamer run while that's on, or just a steam towel over this mask. And it is very, very revivifying. And so revivifying is a beautiful thing when you're doing skincare. So it revives and activates, roses are considered to be tridoshic. So pretty much everybody can and will benefit from using the rose clay, rose ghee, rose water. It does have a slight warming. So, if pitta is an issue, then maybe that would be the time to dial it back a little bit. But kapha and vata are just prime candidates for the rose treatment. Okay, so I'm going to sign off now, but here's what I'm hoping will happen, that maybe you try some of these and be in touch. I'm always more than happy to do a deeper dive into your questions. So email me, carollanne.solavedi@gmail.com, or through the website, just solavedi.com. And let me know how it's going if you have a question and we want to do another chat. Okay, bye-bye.